My family hosted a dinner for 20 and didn't tell me. Not a word. No text, no call, not even a forwarded invite. I found out through my cousin's Instagram story, watching my brother carve a roast in my parents' kitchen while my sister popped champagne. I stared at the screen for a long time, the audio looping on laughter I wasn't part of. That was the night something shifted. My name's Emily Parker. I'm 32, and I used to believe that if I stayed quiet, they'd remember to include me. They didn't. So, I decided to rewrite my role in the family, and what happened next caught them completely off guard. Before we get started, where are you tuning in from? Are you in the middle of the morning rush, or on a late-night drive? Drop a comment below. You're about to hear everything that happened after I made the choice that changed everything. I hadn't been home in almost a year, not because of some dramatic falling out, but because the distance slowly filled itself with silence. At first, I made the effort. Texts, check-ins, little updates from my life in Chicago. I'd send photos from my neighborhood market, holiday cards in the mail, even small gifts when I saw something that reminded me of them. But replies were sparse. Sounds nice. Busy right now, but love you. Then, nothing. It was subtle at first. Missed calls never returned. Birthdays reduced to emojis. Inside jokes I no longer understood. I told myself they were busy. Grace had 2 kids. Ryan traveled for work. My parents had church events, friends, neighbors. Life happens. But somewhere between last spring and that Instagram post, I went from family to footnote. The video that changed everything was 15 seconds long. Just a casual pan of the living room, streamers, laughter, a long dining table covered in dishes I recognized. Mom's corn casserole, Dad's carved roast, Aunt Linda's Jell-O mold, my sister's toddler in a high chair banging a spoon, my brother making some toast while everyone clapped. I turned the volume down and replayed it. In the background, on the kitchen island, sat a paper menu with everyone's name. Everyone but mine. That moment hit differently. Not like heartbreak, more like clarity. I didn't cry. I didn't text anyone asking why. I just closed the app and sat with the silence that had always been there. I'd spent my life being the reliable one, the one who didn't need checking in on, the one who understood. And somehow, I'd convinced myself that being easy to forget wasn't a reflection of love, but of strength. That night, I stopped believing that. Not out of anger, just acceptance. A week later, my dad sent a group message about Uncle Mike's health and a family dinner the next weekend. For a moment, I almost deleted it. I almost left them to their comfort zone, to the table they clearly knew how to set without me. But then I thought, maybe it's time I showed up. Not to be invited, but to be seen. I showed up that weekend, not with a grudge, but with something heavier. Awareness. The kind that sticks in your chest like a stone. My parents hugged me at the door like nothing had ever gone unsaid. My sister Grace waved from the kitchen, her toddler on her hip, and my brother Ryan gave me a distracted smile before disappearing down the hallway. The table was half set. I offered to help, out of habit. My mom said, "You don't have to. Just relax." But the way she said it felt like I had to earn my spot by staying out of the way. That used to be my role, after all. Not the loud one, not the gifted one, just the one who got things done. Growing up, I didn't question that role. I was the steady one, the background support beam no one noticed unless it cracked. When Grace skipped classes, I picked up her homework. When Ryan got grounded, I cleaned his room so Mom wouldn't yell. I remembered birthdays, dentist appointments, how Dad took his coffee. I became fluent in responsibility before I could legally drive. It was easy to mistake that kind of usefulness for love. I wasn't unhappy back then. I got good grades, stayed out of trouble, made myself small where others took up space. Mom called me low maintenance, said it like a compliment, like I was the child who didn't cause problems. I never realized it also meant I was the child who didn't get attention. I was 16 when I learned to stop asking. Grace got the solo in choir, Ryan made varsity. My reward for acing my math final was a nod and a "good job, kiddo" from Dad, while he and Grace argued over which dress she should wear to her dance. That night, I told myself, they're busy, don't make it harder, and I carried that into adulthood. When I moved to Chicago for work, I didn't expect fanfare, but I thought someone might check in, ask how I was doing, ask if I was okay. Instead, my texts turned into one-sided conversations. Hope Grace's little one is feeling better. Tell Ryan congrats on the new job. Most were met with thumbs-ups or will do. I stopped offering updates. No one noticed, so I leaned into the career. Worked late. Said yes to every opportunity. I climbed fast, launched campaigns, got results. I was the invisible sibling back home, but in my field, I became the go-to. I filled my calendar so full, I didn't have time to feel left out, until that Instagram video reminded me I already was. Sitting at that family dinner table, watching my siblings swap stories and my parents pass plates, I felt like a guest in my own bloodline. And yet, there I was, present, listening, absorbing. Maybe showing up wasn't just about being noticed. Maybe it was the first step toward letting go of the person I had been trained to be, the helpful one, the quiet one, the one who didn't ask. Because the truth was, I had been asking, just not out loud. Dinner moved along in waves, passing dishes, clinking forks, a few forced laughs. I smiled when expected, answered questions with just enough detail, but I didn't push. I was still figuring out what it meant to be there, not as the helper, not as the invisible one, just me. It was uncomfortable in a way I didn't expect, like trying on shoes you're not sure fit, but refusing to take them off. The call came 2 weeks later. It was a Friday afternoon, snow still dusting the sidewalks in Chicago. I had just finished reviewing proofs for a campaign launch when my phone lit up. Dad. I stared at it. We didn't talk much on the phone. Texts, mostly, and even those were rare. I picked up. "Hey, Em," he said. His voice was tired, quieter than usual. "Uncle Mike's not doing great. Docs say it's, moving fast." I didn't say anything right away. I could hear voices in the background. Mom, maybe. Grace's kid babbling. Then he added, "We're having everyone over Sunday. Just family. You should come." He said it like an afterthought, like a formality. But something in me didn't hear it that way. "Okay," I replied. "I'll be there." The drive down was long, gray skies and frozen roads, but it gave me time to think. About the version of me they had grown comfortable with. The one who didn't ask for space or recognition. The one who made things easier by staying small. I wasn't her anymore. When I pulled up to the house, the driveway was full. I parked down the street, boots crunching through ice patches. The door was already open when I reached it, Ryan holding it while balancing a tray of desserts. "You made it," he said, surprised but genuine. Inside, the house smelled like chicken and sage. I slipped off my coat and stepped into the kitchen. Grace waved from the island. Mom hugged me without words. It all felt oddly normal. And then, for the first time in forever, my dad gestured toward the dining room and said, "Grab a seat, Em. We saved you one." It was small, barely a sentence. But it wasn't table 14. It wasn't a folding chair near the trash can. It was the same long wooden table I'd grown up at, the one I hadn't been offered a place at in over a year. I sat down, not at the end, not tucked to the side, in the middle, between Grace and Ryan. Someone passed me rolls. Someone else poured me water. I didn't fade in the background. I just was. Later, while clearing dishes, Grace nudged my shoulder. "Dad said you've been doing big things at work." I looked at her surprised. "Yeah, it's been good." She nodded. "He actually read your article, the one about brand identity?" I blinked. "He did?" "Twice," she said, smirking. "Told Mom he was proud." I didn't know what to say. I just kept rinsing plates. Not because I had to, but because I wanted to. This time, I wasn't helping to be seen. I was already seen. The next time I saw them wasn't for a crisis. It was for a birthday. My niece was turning 4, and Grace sent me an actual invitation, a printed one, with my name spelled right and everything. It wasn't a big deal on paper, but when I opened the envelope, I sat with it in my hands longer than I expected. It was the kind of invite you sent when you assumed someone belonged, not as an afterthought, but as part of the picture. So I went. I didn't overthink the outfit or brace myself for awkward conversations. I just showed up, like everyone else, with a wrapped gift and a card signed, "Love, Aunt Emily." The party was loud and chaotic, streamers taped haphazardly, balloons tangled in the ceiling fan, kids running in every direction. My mom was in the kitchen, arguing with Ryan about cupcake flavors, while Grace chased frosting-covered fingers with a wet towel. I stood in the doorway for a moment and just took it in. "Em!" my dad called from the grill outside. "You want one with cheddar or without?" I blinked. "With?" "You got it," he said, like this was the 100th time we'd done this. Like I hadn't spent years wondering how to be part of the noise. I found myself drifting in and out of conversations. Nothing heavy, no long overdue heart-to-hearts, but the kind of simple chatter that said, "We know you, we're used to you, we're glad you came." It felt oddly normal. After cake, I ended up in the living room with Ryan, flipping through a photo album Mom had pulled from the bookshelf. He was pointing out pictures from a camping trip I didn't remember when he paused. "You know, I always thought you'd leave and never come back." I looked up. "I did leave." "Yeah," he nodded. "But not like mad. Just gone. Like we pushed you out without realizing." I didn't answer. I didn't need to, because he wasn't wrong. "I think we just got used to you not needing much," he added. "So we gave you even less." That sat with me. I hadn't come back for apologies. I didn't expect confessions. But moments like that, soft, unplanned, honest, felt like stitches, slowly mending the space between who we were and who we could still be. The day wound down, and as people started leaving, Grace pressed a container of leftovers into my hands. "Don't forget this," she said. "Also, Mom said you left your scarf last time. It's by the coat rack." That's when I realized something simple, something grounding. They were adjusting. Not dramatically, not perfectly. But the difference between being tolerated and being considered is everything when you've spent a lifetime on the sidelines. It wasn't a speech, or a toast, or an Instagram-worthy moment. It was just a plate of food, a remembered scarf, and a seat that no one questioned anymore. And for the first time, I didn't feel like I had to shrink to fit. It wasn't just the scarf, or the seat, or the cupcake with my name written in icing. It was the absence of tension. No one tiptoed around me like they were afraid I might crack. No one overcompensated with awkward apologies. They just treated me like someone who had always been part of the story, even if the earlier chapters had gotten a little blurry. I started visiting more. Not constantly, not out of guilt or habit, but when it felt right. A long weekend here, a birthday there. I wasn't performing for a place at the table anymore. I was simply there. And slowly, that became enough. One weekend in early spring, I came down to help clean out the garage. Dad was clearing shelves, Mom was sorting boxes, and somehow I ended up with a stack of old school binders and photos. One of them had my name written in faded blue marker across the front. Emily, grade 7. Inside were report cards, drawings, a printed essay with a big red A in the corner. Mom walked over and peered down. "You always had the neatest handwriting," she said softly. I smiled, surprised she remembered. She placed a hand lightly on my shoulder, and for a moment, we stood there in the dust and sunbeams, like two people trying to recognize each other after years of speaking in roles instead of words. Later that day, over lunch, Dad asked if I had any new campaigns coming up. Grace wanted help designing a flyer for her book club. Ryan joked about needing a brand refresh for his fantasy football league. I laughed, rolled my eyes, but something inside me clicked into place. This wasn't me earning space anymore. This was them making room. The following month, I got a text from Grace. Mom's planning a big family dinner next month. She says it's time we make it official again. Sunday dinners once a month. Can you come? I stared at the message for a moment, then typed back, I'll be there. Let me bring dessert. And when I walked into the house that Sunday afternoon, something quiet but powerful had changed. The chair at the table wasn't empty, and it wasn't folded out last minute. It was already there, set with a placemat and a glass, and a seat that no one had to justify. I didn't have to take up less space. I didn't have to make myself useful before I could be welcome. I just sat down, because I belonged, not because they finally said so, but because I stopped waiting for them to say it. What about you? Have you ever had to reclaim your place in a family that forgot to make room for you? We'd love to hear your story. Drop a comment below. If you're into real-life family drama like this, make sure to subscribe for more.